Hi, I'm Phil.
And I'm Lauren, and we're Live Transformed.
So last week we had an interesting discussion about somebody named Job. Job had some major things happen to him, and what did we learn from Job? We learned that God is sovereign. God is over all things, regardless of our circumstances and how difficult it may seem for us. God has a plan. The other thing we learned was God doesn't owe us an explanation for anything, because the scariest part to me was chapter 38 and 39, where God started asking questions. He said, let me ask you, brace yourself like a man. Let me start asking you some questions. And the questions were things like, where were you when I created the foundations of the earth? And where were you when I spoke things into existence and told the water not to go beyond its boundaries and all these things? And you go, yeah, I probably shouldn't have said anything, God. I probably should have been okay with whatever's happening. And it's a lesson we can all learn, because we complain, yet we also believe God's sovereign. So, you can't do both. If God's in control and he allows something, we have to say, God works all things together for the good. I mean, I may not know that, I may not understand it, but it is. It is the way it is. Today, we're going to look at Abram. Hey, if you want to support Live Transform, please subscribe to our channel. Please like the videos, and please share them with people you think may benefit from hearing the information that we give.
We'd love for you to comment and let us know more material that you'd like to hear about. It also helps YouTube share our channel with other people. So be sure to comment on what you like and what you'd like to hear more of.
We can't wait to see you. Abram, again, is another person of faith. Now, anybody who trusts God and believes in God, including us, are people of faith. But we look at Abram and we see some circumstances here that make us go, there's a lot of faith there, but at the same time, you kind of just read through it and you go, well, he trusted God. He's supposed to. But, God called him from his land and told him to go somewhere where he didn't know where he was going. And on the way there, he didn't know if he was safe. And how am I going to get my family there? Once I get there, what do I do? I mean, have you ever moved before? Yeah. Does anyone enjoy moving? I don't think so. So this guy had to do that. Not only did he have to do that, he had to trust that once he got there, there was going to be provision, there was going to be safety and all these things. So let's read the story, or, look through Abram's story, not through a lens of I've already read the Bible, but through a lens of, wow, if I didn't know what was ahead of me, how much faith would it take for me to do that? Or we can look at our own life circumstance and say, I don't know what's ahead of me. Am I trusting God, or am I walking around in my own strength deciding what I do?
Yeah, it can be difficult. It's easy to read the Bible and think, oh, they did this and they did that. But when you actually think about what it takes to walk this out, and I think that's why it's important also to study, like, historically what's going on at that time, what would be the danger of doing things like that. It puts a different perspective on things, because what Abram did, it required a lot of faith. It's easy to be like, oh yeah, you just walk down the road a little while to a new place, but that's not, I don't think it was that easy.
Right. So we're going to start in Genesis 11, verse 27 is where we'll start. So it talks about Terah and his descendants. We're going to read a little bit about this. Now these are the generations of Terah. Terah fathered Abram, Nahor, and Haran. And Haran fathered Lot. Haran died in the presence of his father, Terah, in the land of his kindred, in Ur of the Chaldeans. And Abram and Nahor took wives. The name of Abram's wife was Sarai, and the name of Nahor's wife, Milcah, the daughter of Haran, the father of Milcah and Iscah. Now Sarai was barren, she had no child. All right, so we get a little bit of Abram's lineage here, his family, his dad, his brothers, his wife. Now Abram, later Abraham, Sarai, later Sarah, giving us their beginnings. And one of the main things that we need to put off to the side, but remember, is Sarai was barren. She had no child. Okay. That's going to come into context whenever we get to the promises. Terah took Abram his son, and Lot the son of Haran, his grandson, and Sarai his daughter-in-law, his son Abram's wife, and they went forth together from Ur of the Chaldeans to go into the land of Canaan. But when they came to Haran, they settled there. The days of Terah were 205 years, and Terah died in Haran. All right, so on their way, his father dies, but they stop in Haran, and that's where his father dies. But once again, we see him moving. He's got his family. He's got his wife. and he's there with his dad.
And so they settled there. So they stayed there for a period of time. And we also know that there were other people around because the people from the Tower of Babel have dispersed. And so, we see them probably making a life in Haran.
So next we have the call of Abram. So this is Genesis 12, 1 through 7. Now the Lord said to Abram, "Go from your country and your kindred and your father's house to the land that I will show you. And I will make you a great nation, and I will bless you and make your name great, so that you will be a blessing." Now just starting right there, you go, okay, now this is where it starts to get kind of crazy for us as people, because you're going, first of all, why are you going to bless me and make me a great nation? How are you going to make me a great nation? Because we'll find out his age in a minute, but he's old. We already read that his wife Sarai was barren, so she can't even have children. He's old, and he's, as an old man, being told to go from his country. So leave Haran, where you're at, and go to this land that I've given you, which he hasn't gotten there, so he's like, you've given it to me. So a lot of this is the faith we're talking about, because he's just trusting God at his word, because none of this, it shouldn't make sense to us either, except for we know the story. But if you don't, you're going, how does that make any sense?
Right, because it says from your country and your kindred and your father's house. So in Haran, they have established a country, his kindred, his family's there. And then he's saying, go where I will show you. If somebody called me and said, hey, I just need you to get in the car and go, and then I'll tell you where, I'd be like, well, tell me where, right, and then I'll go.
Because I'm preparing.
I'm not just going to get in my car and start driving because someone called and said go. And that's kind of what this is like. The Lord said go, and then I'll show you. That takes faith. And, you might think that's easy, but if someone said pack up all your stuff and get in the truck and start driving your whole household away, and then I'll tell you where you're going to move, I don't know many people who would do that.
And then he also told him, I will make you a great nation, and I will bless you and make your name great. So he's going to be a great nation, and he's going to be blessed, and his name will be great.
Right. And in order to have a great nation, you have to have children. Because as we see, that's just the order of things. Kings' children become their heir, and that's great nations are formed from great families. And he has no children. And
not only will he be blessed, but so that he will be a blessing. I will bless those that bless you, and him who dishonors you I will curse. And in you all the families of the earth shall be blessed. So this is the Abrahamic covenant that we all know of, and everybody speaks of in their blessing. What is he saying here? You're going to be blessed, first of all, and then everyone will be blessed through you. And everyone includes the Israelites and the Gentiles, because that also is a reference to Jesus, who is going to be later in this lineage. And not only that, Jesus will make it so that the Gentiles are blessed, because through him will be our redemption back to God. So it will be the Israelites, it'll be Gentiles, it'll be everybody. So everybody who has this faith will be blessed through Abraham. And that's the awesome part about this covenant, is it's not just to the Israelites or the Jews or whatever, the Hebrews, it's to everyone. But it will be through Abraham and then his people, which are the Israelites, and then Jesus comes, and then Jesus will make it so that everybody is blessed. So Abraham went as the Lord told him, and Lot went with him. Abraham was 75 years old when he departed from Haran. So he's 75 years old at this point, and he just is obedient to the Lord. He's like, okay, God said to leave, I'm leaving. I'm taking my family, all my stuff, don't know where I'm going, don't know how to get there, just going to start going. And Abraham took Sarai's wife, Lot his brother's son, and all their possessions they had gathered. Remember, they had some possessions, and the people they had gathered and acquired in Haran. And they set out to the land of Canaan. So he took all of his stuff and all of his people and took off to this place that he doesn't really know. When they came to the land of Canaan, Abraham passed through the land to the place of Shechem, to the oak of Moreh. At that time, Canaanites were in the land. Then the Lord appeared to Abram and said, to your offspring I will give this land. So he built an altar to the Lord who had appeared to him. So he gets to the place, God confirms everything, and he First thing he does after being obedient, which is the first thing he should have done when God told him, which is what he did, he ends up at this place, and first thing he does is build an altar. That's amazing. Like, he's like, I'm gonna get to where I'm going, not sure where I'm at, kind of see there's people here, got all my stuff with me. First thing I'm doing is building this altar, and I'm going to worship God. I mean, I don't know what better response you can have in that situation.
Right.
All right, so he's there, he's done what he's told, and this is where we talk about faith, because like we said, Job had faith. He had faith in God's sovereignty because he was sick. He had all kinds of stuff taken from him, yet he trusted that God was in control. Hey, if this is what it has to be, God, this is what it has to be. Abram, a little bit of different faith. His faith is, I'm going to trust you in what you say. You said go, I'm going to go. I don't know where I'm going, why I'm going there, but I'm going to have faith. All right, Hebrews 11:1. Now, faith is the assurance of things hoped for, the conviction of things not yet seen. Great definition. Covers it all, because people of the world, very smart people, say you get into a debate with an agnostic or an atheist, and they're like, faith? What is faith? That's ridiculous. That's nothing concrete about faith. It's this like fairy tale type stuff. It's like floating in the air, and I feel the feel. It's not real. But the reality is the Bible just told us it's real. Faith is the assurance of things hoped for. I am fully confident in what I'm hoping for. It is the conviction of things not yet seen. I am so confident in the things I haven't seen. I trust that that is the truth. I know it. Hope. What is hope? Hope is what we know that is coming, even though we haven't seen it. It is something we trust in. So for us as believers, we trust God. And if we trust God, that means that it doesn't matter whether or not we've seen him or what he says that's going to be true. Inside of us is what it is. It's faith, it's trust, it's belief. It's knowing something that I can't know, even though that sounds crazy.
And we all have faith in something. We all have faith that things happen in this world. Like an example is the wind. I mean, you can't see it. You have faith that it's there because there's evidence of the wind, but you cannot see it. There's evidence of gravity. You cannot see it. There's lots of scientific principles that we have evidence of, but we can't physically see it with our eyes. But we trust that it's there through study, through different things in our life that have happened. It's the same with God. If you have walked with God, you have evidence that he is there. Okay? Did you see it? No, but there are things that have happened in your life that there is no explanation other than God, and your declaration of that is faith. I trust that it's God because that's where my conviction lies. My conviction is that he is the one in control, and when these things happen in my life, I know, I have no doubts, I'm convicted, I'm assured that it's God, and that's faith.
And if everything has to be in your physical world, you have to understand as a believer there's the supernatural realm where God dwells. Therefore, everything doesn't have to be something you can touch and see and feel. You have to understand that there are things that are not visible to us, but yet are there. And that's where faith kind of exists, because you don't have to see it to believe it. And like she said, there's a lot of things that have nothing to do with the supernatural realm that you can't see, but you do believe because they are present. Moving on to 11, verse 8 through 10. By faith, Abraham obeyed when he was called to go out to a place that he was to receive an inheritance. And he went out, not knowing where he was going. By faith, he went to live in the land of promise, as in a foreign land, living in tents with Isaac and Jacob, heirs with him of the same promise. For he was looking forward to the city that has foundations, whose designer and builder is God. So he said, I don't have to have all the stuff. I don't have to know where the stuff is. If it's coming with me, it's coming with me. If it doesn't make it, it doesn't make it. I'm going to go ahead and do what God said. Then he has his sons, and the promise starts, because he's, okay, once you have Isaac, okay, now you can have a nation, even though that still seems crazy to have a whole nation. But he was why does this work for him? Why was he blessed, and why did he end up doing what God told him to do? Because it says, for he was looking forward to the city that has foundations, whose designer and builder was God. What is that? That's heaven. He's looking forward to eternity. He's not worried about what's going on here. Hey, great, I have all this stuff, but the stuff doesn't have me. If I lose it, if I gain it, if I go to this place, I'm trusting God. It doesn't even matter because I have my eyes fixed on Jesus, and therefore I know that God has me. And guess what? If something happens here, I'm okay there because there's going to be forever and I'm good. That's what he's looking forward to. He's not worried about, like us, getting caught up in the worries of this world, the material things, the distractions that Satan is using to keep us from focusing on God.
And that's why we study the Word, because we can look at the life of Abram and we can say, wow, I need to be more like that. I need to have my eyes and my heart affixed on heaven, not on this. And so if the financial issue doesn't work out, if the having the baby I want doesn't work out, if I don't get into this school, if I don't get that house or job or whatever it is, it's okay because God is in control and he's designing a heavenly place for me to permanently dwell. We weren't meant to camp out here. We are but passing through this world. And we don't live like that. We forget that. A lot of times we know that in our head, but this world is fleeting. It's coming to an end. If you are a Bible-believing Christian, Revelation tells us it's burning up. It's going to be gone. And so what a lot of us have done is we camped out here. We've made a home here and we have our stuff and all these things. And if something goes wrong, our world is over. It's not. Abram's like, well, I mean, if I go there and it's not great, it's fine. I mean, I've got a heavenly home. And that sounds crazy, but that's the truth.
Yeah. And let's look at verse 16, because that's what he's saying here. And this is the reward for the believers. And believers, I say anybody historically ever who believes in God. But as it is, they desire a better country, that is a heavenly one. Therefore, God is not ashamed to be called their God, for he has prepared for them a city. And that's the reward. The reward is God is preparing for us a city because of our faith. And faith is our trust in God. And like she talked about in Revelation, this heaven that we're describing and talking about is fully described in Revelation. And it's amazing. And I would say there's probably almost not words to describe it. The colors and the light and God sitting on the throne, and there doesn't need to be light because of his light, and the river flowing and the tree of life and no more sickness, pain. I mean, it sounds amazing, but we can't even really describe it. We can't understand it. And that's why we have faith and trust God and don't worry about the things here because, and you know, it's easy to say and hard to do. Like, let me pause and recognize that.
Right.
But regardless, that's still the truth. We have to say that and we have to try to believe that because it's the truth. And God has a place for us already. So what is faith? What does this faith mean? What is it? What is it in relation to God for faith? Well, chapter 11, verse 6 says, "And without faith is it impossible to please him. For whoever would draw near to God must believe that he exists and that he rewards those who seek him." Well, that tells you right there. If you don't have faith, it's impossible to please God. There's no way to please God because God is pleased by our faith, our trust in him. Matter of fact, if you don't have faith, it doesn't even matter if God's pleased with you because you won't have a relationship with him. Because only way you can have a relationship with God through Jesus Christ is believing that Jesus came, he was the Messiah, he died and was raised again. If you don't believe that, you can't have a relationship with God. So the point here is, without faith, it's impossible. And then for whoever would draw near to God, you must believe he exists. Well, yeah, right. I mean, if you don't believe in God and you don't believe he exists, there's no way you can have faith. That and the thing is that he rewards those who seek him. Like we just talked about. What's the reward? The reward is eternity with him. Where? Heaven. The New Jerusalem that comes out of heaven and is described with such great detail, but at the same time, we will not understand till we get there. And that's the reward that God gives to those who seek him. And that's what we're all looking forward to. That's why it doesn't matter what people say and people call you crazy for having faith. Okay. You know, once again, just like prophets, if you speak a word and you say it's from God and it doesn't happen, then it's not from God. Same thing here. If we say we believe in heaven, you'll find out, because when we get there or you arrive in the other place, hell, you'll know. But unfortunately, it's too late. And that's why we share this with so many people. We don't want you to find out when it's too late. I'd rather you find out now while you can do something about it.
Well, you can have faith because faith comes from Jesus We're given faith to even be able to believe. But faith is believing. That's what it says. And so in order to have salvation, you have to believe in Jesus. And so if you're not sure, if you feel like, well, do I have faith? Do I not have faith? Do you believe in Jesus? Because Jesus gives you faith. And then with every step, I think part of the interesting story about Abram is God says, go and I'll show you where. He gives him like a minor instruction with no details. But I feel like if God laid out our life before us on the front end, we would make such a mess of it. We can't be trusted. God's like, go here and then come back to me. Do this and come back to me. Do this and come back to me. And I feel like, if I'm being honest, my whole day I need to be, okay, God, what's next? What's next? What's next? Because I make a mess of things. And Abram would have too. Had he not just said, okay, God, you said go, I'm going. Where am I going? And along the way, God showed him. So, but that is faith. That's why we can call Abram a man of faith. Because he didn't need all the instructions, because he had his eyes fixed on God and he knew no matter what, he would be in eternity with him.
And it doesn't matter how much faith you have. And I just say that because people are like, oh, whoa, you got so much faith. I have. Look, if you have faith in Jesus, you have enough faith. God gives us a measure of faith. That's the gift that we get. We can't even have our own faith because God gives us, but you do have the ability to make the choice that you're going to believe or not. I mean, that's your free will. But ultimately, God gives us the faith, and then we have faith in him. Whatever your measure of faith is, it is. It doesn't even matter. The point is that you have faith. So if you want to not just be transformed, but live transformed, like we always love to say, because that's the only way to live a godly life, a kingdom-focused life, then you have to have faith at some level, like all these people we read in the Faith Hall of Fame in chapter 11. It's faith is defined, and then we see faith, but you're the same person. We all belong in there because we all have faith in God. That's all they did. They weren't any kind of anomaly or special person. They were just people that trusted God when no one else did. And so it shows by your life, and it shows by the results. And God is always God. He was the same yesterday, today, and tomorrow. So therefore, when he says it, it happens, and we can trust him. And that's the whole point behind all of this.
Right. And we can even, as we continue studying Abram's life, he wasn't perfect. And so that can give us confidence that faith doesn't require perfection. We don't have it in us. So faith requires believing that God is in control. He is working all things out for the good of those who love him, and that I'm going to do what he says. That's faith. It's not living a perfect life, because if you read through the Faith Hall of Fame in Hebrews 11, there's some pretty messed up people in there who've done some pretty crazy things. They weren't perfect.
God.
They did. They trusted God. And so you're going to mess up. I've messed up. We all mess up. What do you do when you mess up? Do you turn to God and say, I'm sorry, let me try again. Give me another direction and I'll go that way because clearly I messed that one up. That's faith.
So thanks for joining us today on Faith, and we look forward to seeing you next week. We love you.